I think it is 7:05. So I'll start today's discussion. Uh, Let people join when they can. Um, so basically, uh, this is week 3 assignment discussion. So myself Akshay, uh, as I have introduced a couple of times in first couple of lectures. So today basically we'll be talking about briefly recapping about uh, what is like the last part of organizational structures. Uh, Major of it was covered in the last week's discussion, but there was some part which was uh, covered this in week 3. Then important topic is plant location and layout. So that is the major focus of week 3 content of the course. So basically, selection of a site for new plant, then what are the different factors affecting that decision, then what are the methods that are supposed to uh, that are developed for these for making this selection process more formal, more logical, quantifiable, and there are many methods. Some of them are discussed in this week or week 3, and few will be discussed in next week. And then there will be plant layout. So basically, right now we are in a phase where we are discussing about choosing a suitable location for a new plant. Then eventually we'll discuss what type of layout, etc., to be implemented in that site. So we'll start with the brief recap as always. So first of all, uh, if you can remember, uh, there are some objectives of uh, development of an organizational structure. So that should be quite clear. So basically, what is the objective? Uh, as as it is intuitive, that to increase the productivity. How to increase the productivity? Uh, to work towards producing goods or services with minimum cost, uh, maximum quality, or superior quality than the competitors, and it should be the organizational structure should be uh, conducive to flexibility in changing market conditions. It should take account. It should be resilient for unknown changes or developments like, let's say, COVID, or you know let's say war, or nowadays this Turkey earthquake is there. So that type of calamities, natural calamities or artificial man-made calamities can be there. So your organization structure should be resilient up to a certain extent for these calamities or unwanted, unforeseeable events. So these are the main, objectives. Then there are, let's say, 4 elements for this. First is departmentalization. So, as the name suggests, departmentalization is a process in which you specify for a certain type of for a certain employee or group of employees that for like what activities they are supposed to perform. So that is what we call as the departments, making departments. So it is the advantages of departmentalization is it establishes proper chain of command. Everyone knows what they are supposed to do. Every employee has a clear idea about their role in the organization. Everyone has a clear idea about the chain of command, whom do they report, and what all the things they are responsible and accountable for. That way, this type of departmentalization process can encourage, uh, you know, uh, it can encourage employees to work with their, with the more rigor because they know what they want to do. That clarity is given to them, and they have to perform to their best. So that is advantages of departmentalization. Then what is the disadvantage? uh, if you notice, this departmentalization system is as long, I mean, if we are talking about Indian context, uh, it came mainly colonization after the british britishers conquered or colonized India. uh, so this is the departmentalization is nowadays. uh, there are two types of departmentalization. One is in the new post British era corporate structures like let's say Reliance, HDFC, Unilever, these MNCs basically. So they have different type of departmentalization, whereas the government, PSUs, PSU banks, they have different type of departmentalization. So what I have seen is the departmentalization in government institutions in India is having some issues. For example, in Indian Railways, etc. There were many committees also set up by government to rationalize this departmentalization things. So basically, what happens is departmentalization in its spirit is good thing because it will it will clarify everything, rule, responsibilities, etc. However, what happens sometimes if it is not taken in its spirit, departmentalization leads to uh, what should I call subgroupism, favoritism, etc., etc. It uh, it leads to sometimes in extreme cases it leads to animosity between different departments, uh, an environment of non-trust, etc., etc. So these are pros and cons of departmentalization. Then there is formalization. So as your organization grows, for small set of businesses or small size of businesses, formalization is not that big of a concept because it's a small business. It has small workforce. They have clear objective. They have clear goals. But as and when your company grows or your organization grows, number of employees increases. Number of 1 second. Number of yeah. So uh, as I was saying, sorry for the discontinuity. Um, Formalization is basically, uh, you have large workforce, so you need to provide them training when they join. You need to teach them the organizational procedures. You need to teach them rules and regulations that they need to abide by. So all these things are quite important as your organization grows, and that's when formalizing uh, formalizing different processes in your organization becomes important. So up to a limit, like departmentalization, formalization is also good, but after a limit, it also becomes headache For example, I have seen uh, uh, when I was working somewhere, they give you travel allowance, right? So if you travel somewhere for a professional thing, out of station, if you go, they can reimburse uh, the travel expenses, which is pretty common. But what happened is, it is a quite old organization. It was a government organization, so they have formalized a certain set of travel allowance policy, according to which, uh, when you go out somewhere and when you want to fill up the travel allowance form, you need to physically sign it. So earlier, let's say a couple of decades back, this was possible because people used to go and come back, and then only they'll claim for the travel allowance, and that's how the procedure was set. But nowadays, especially after COVID, everything is online. So you can put your signature on form, etc., online as well. So uh, many employees asked for this change in this travel allowance procedure, that let us sign the document virtually, so that whenever, uh, like, it should be independent of, you know physical delay. Like, you need not to come physically to sign that document from the far place. So that type of things happen when your organization is quite big and they are reluctant to change the set operational procedures. But for a good organization, you need to have a formalization process, and it should be periodically upgraded as well, so that efficiency increases. The employees do not need to spend their time on non-productive things like this, different forms that I told you. And then, it reduces their fatigue, and they can focus on better things, right? They have so much things to do in your organization. So overall, for morale and efficiency, formalization is good, but it should be in touch with the recent developments. Then there is concept of centralization. So as the name suggests, uh, there will be a type of organization in which it will be highly centralized. So specifically a small family owned business or a single owner business have this type of structure, in which they have a centralized authority over everything in that organization. And this works fairly good or better for smaller organizations. But when the organization becomes bigger, uh, single person or few people should not be the responsible ones. They can have majority of stake or something like that, but the decisions on a large scale need to be taken by considering various factors which may be out of the purview of a small few people. So in that case, decentralization is better. So what you do, you disperse the decision making process according to the importance of that decision into different levels in the organizations. So if there are decisions which are not that much important for the overall goals of the company, you let them you let other employees, lower level employees, to take them. So in that way, top level management focuses on important issues, and lower level management focuses on the issues which are important for them, not for the overall organization. So this centralization, decentralization is also important. Uh, so basically, mm, I mean, I don't know how relevant this example is, but when East India Company came to India, uh, they were just a small organization sponsored by British Crown or whatever. Uh, so, but as, like, let's say they colonized Indian context, and after 100 years, they have begun a big empire kind of thing. So then there were important decisions were taken in the uh, British setup, and the non-important or non-trivial decisions were taken here at the collector level or district magistrate, whatever you want to call. Similarly, nowadays also, if you see any MNC or something like that, they'll have uh, top investors, then they'll have this CEO or MD or something, or president or something. Then there will be board of directors, and then there will be GMs, then there will be managers, then there will be supervisors, executives, and finally workers. So basically, nowadays, if the organization big is, it is most likely decentralized. Then uh, regarding this centralization, etc., there is one important concept which is important for your assignments also, is called as span of control. So I think we discussed it this last week or before that, but again, if it is here, we'll just go through it quickly. So first is wide span of control, and second is narrow. So uh, I think we have one visitor. Uh, if I'm not wrong, Mohammed, right? Mohammed Ansari. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hi. Yes, sir. Hi.
Am I right? Is your name Mohammed?
Yes, sir. Mohammed Khalid Ansari.
Oh, okay, okay. Here I can see MK Ansari, so I was just checking. So can
Uh,
you briefly tell me what do you understand when I say an organization has a wide span of control?
the wide span of control means it may be, sir, a big organization
Okay.
having,
Hello.
sir, big
Yeah,
organization having.
I think I am losing you after having couple of times. So basically, there will be a structure like this. There will be one manager, and he or she will be controlling a large number of assistant managers, or whatever executives, whatever you want to call them. And then there will be, like, on each for each manager or assistant manager, there will be again uh, these type of arrangements. So basically, the total number of layers will be less, but on each layer they will have a uh, more number of people. So uh, this can happen in big organizations also, but it depends what type of business they do. And so the advantages of this system is, there are less number of layers, so uh, you'll have better communication, you can have better supervision, better coordination. You'll have prompt response from the employees, or lower level employees will be feeling motivated because they are also involved in the decision making process. And there will be less overhead cost for supervision because only 2 3 layers are there. So whatever supervision you want to do, it can be done quite easily, as opposed to narrow span of control. As the name suggests, it will have something like this. uh, there will be like couple of these things, couple of uh, subordinates, or even single subordinate under some boss. So something like this. So it will have, as the name suggests, it will have a larger number of layers. However, the number of employees under a boss will be lower. So in this case, uh, what happens is, uh, the coordination and communication is difficult because it needs to be formally or correctly passed through different number of layers, many number of layers. So there is a less empowerment to the lower layer employees because they don't have much decision making uh, power here. So, uh, but this works when you want to have a less, like, quick decisions. So basically, the top management can take quick decisions based on inputs from, let's say, top two layers only. They won't bother about the bottom layers, something like that. So in your assignment, I think last time somebody suggested that question number 9 of assignment 3. Uh, yeah, so there is a mistake. So the question is, select the correct statement about wider span of control. Correct statement. about wider span of control. So first option is low overhead cost of a supervisor. Second is poor communication. Third is lesser number of layers. Fourth one is suitable for customized jobs. So, uh, as we just now discussed, wider span of control will have lower overhead cost of supervision. So, this statement is correct. They will have better communication. So, this statement is wrong. They will have less number of layers. So, this statement is also correct. And they are suitable for repetitive jobs, because everyone, like every employee will become expert in their own domain kind of thing. So uh, if you want a customized job, you need to have I think like narrow span of control will be better option. Wider span of control, I don't think so, it is better for repetitive jobs. So this is also wrong. So in your assignment, the answer is given as option number 3, but option number 1 is also correct. So less overhead cost of supervision is there. So that was one. Then there is one thing like uh, unity of command. So as the name suggests, unity of command is basically you'll have one boss, one subordinate. That subordinate will have one subordinate, something like that. So there will be no communication gap, feedback and response will be faster, etc. You can see that type of approach in military kind of organization, quite rigid, quite fixed. So then, yeah, I think uh, more or less we have covered about the organizational structure. So we'll go to the main point of this week, uh, which is plant location selection of site. So basically the topic is plant location and layout, and out of that we are discussing selection of site. So basically I am taking important question. I should say selection of new site, because this deals with the things where you want to put a new plant. So now, first of all, why why are you doing this? Why do you need a new site? So basically there can be multiple reasons. First is like expansion of your current capacities. So your business is good, you want to expand, then you go for new sites. Second is your old or your current facilities are becoming obsolete. You want to have an technologically advanced sort of facilities. Then also you go for a new site. Then uh, you know if there is demand, increasing demand that you are not able to cater. So all those things are the reason why we do the expansion, and we need a new site. Then there can be another reason can be uh, decentralization. I mean, this is talking geographically. So let's say when your business was small, you can do the business from your current location, let's say Delhi. But over the period of time, you realize that your main uh, target market segment is in the South India. So you realize that every time we transport the goods from North India to South India, via road or rail, the transport cost is too much, and that is making your product less competitive as compared to a producer in the South India. So then then that can be a good reason that you need to find a new site in South India to uh, put up the location, so that you can avoid the extra transportation cost and you'll become more competitive. So one second, I just check. One is expansion that we talked about, decentralization we talked about. Yeah, and third factor is, I mean, this factor is quite important, but it is inherently considered. So economically, there can be economic factors as well. So uh, there are different number of factors that comes under this economic head. So we'll discuss each factor one by one, and I'll take up some questions in between, so that you can understand why we are discussing this. Uh, so first of all, when you talk about it, uh, first thing that you look for a new site is plant or site location. So there are two levels on which you take this decision. One is general, like broad view. This comes like, for example, in which state or country that you want the plant to be in. Secondly, let's say you finalize the country. Now you want to go local. You want to analyze at local levels where you can put up the plant. So then you need to have a specific or specific view is a better option. So then you decide city or uh, suburb, etc. So these are like first things that you consider when you are searching for a location. So uh, so Mohammed, uh, can you give me an example? Let's say uh, from an let's say you want to put up an automobile plant. So you already have some sort of small business, but you now want to put up a new plant. So uh, how will you go about selecting the location? Hello. Hello.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, so let me modify the question. The question is, for example, let's say you want to put up uh, you know a tidal power plant, let's say. So how will you decide first, like what will be your broad view? Let's say you want to, I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to put up a tidal power plant. I hope you know what is tidal power plant, right? Do you have the
Yeah.
idea?
Tidal power plants are no.
So basically, tides, the sea tides that you get, you make use
Mm,
of them to generate power. So now,
okay.
if your objective is to put up a tidal power plant, what will be your broad view? Like uh, where you will put it first. So it will be near seashore, right?
Right.
So you'll now look at the India's map, and then you'll figure out of, let's say, 29 or 30, I think 29 states, there are very few states which have sea line. So then you narrow down. Then you see which coast is better, either east coast or west coast. So usually this west coast is good for this ports, etc. It does not have that river deltas and all. So I think the east coast will be better option, because west coast is having that mountain ranges, etc. So uh, I mean, it will be difficult to find a proper flat. There will be some sites. I'm not saying this is just a broad. I'm just thinking broadly. What I feel, let's say on the east coast, let's say near West Bengal, Odisha, there are this because of this river deltas, the lands are quite flat, and uh, I think maybe that will be a good option for this thing, tidal power plant. So then you narrow it down to, let's say, uh, delta, like Bay of Bengal delta or something like that. So this is how you uh, narrow down. So this is 1 second. This was for uh, you know let's say tidal power plant. Now the second can be, for example, if you want to put up a nuclear power plant. So uh, now what is your first line of thinking, Mohammed? Broadly, general way, where do you want to go for nuclear power plant?
Mm, sir, desert side area, sir.
Yeah, so desert. Uh, but I think I told this earlier also, because you need to have a cooling.
Waters,
So desert
river,
area, yeah, plus some sort of water
river.
source. So this can be river or dam. Anything is fine. River, lake, dam, but it cannot be sea, because that is a risky site in case of natural calamity. So
Yes,
then you think, okay, desert area, and I need some sort of water source. So maybe this Rajasthan, or let's say northwest part of India. That will be a better option, I feel. Like Rajasthan, MP, that part, like Nagpur, Vidarbha, that area. And there are
sir.
some nuclear power plants there. I think Tarapur has nuclear power plant, which is, I think, in this region only, because it has a river nearby, I think. Yeah, some dam is there. So this is like broadly speaking how you narrow down the location for a plant. So these are like broadly speaking, and then broadly you figure out which area, then you narrow down. Now let's say you narrow down. Let's say you finalize that for some industry you need to put it, let's say geographically, uh, South India is better. Then what you do? Then the next question is uh, city or suburb or rural or countryside. So then it again depends on uh, many factors. For example, in city you'll get skilled manpower. You'll have
Sir.
proper utilities. Yeah, Mohammed, can you explain what are the advantages of putting new location in city, and what are the disadvantages?
Cities means multi-story building areas, sir, where we can get the skilled manpower. Maybe land cost will be high, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, advantages are you'll get skilled manpower. Uh, you'll have access to proper utilities like power, water, all these
Transportation, what?
yeah, all these things will be available. Uh,
Yes,
you will have proper transportation. You will have roads, railway stations, etc., airports, etc. These are advantages. But the disadvantage is the land cost is high. So you will
yes,
have to go for multi-story type of factory or plant. And
yes,
second thing is cost of living is also high in city. So even though you get skilled manpower, you'll have to give them higher salary
Oh,
because cost of living is higher. So that way you need to figure out key where do you want to put, whether it is city or rural. In cities, the taxes are also more, I feel, because municipality, etc., they will take taxes from you. Whereas if you put it in a rural area, the land will be cheaper, so you can have as much land as you want. You don't need to pay much taxes. But the problem will be there will be not reliable supply of power or
mm,
manpower, because in rural area people will have their own farming, own uh, sheep rearing, that mariculture, that type of businesses. So they will not be that skilled, and that they may be seasonally available. They not be available full year. So these type of issues are there. So you need to figure out which, like after you figure out which geographical location you want to go, then you need to figure out uh, which area you need to go to, like city or suburb or rural. So let's say you figured out that also. Uh,
yes.
then there are other factors like uh, your target market segment. So let's say you are making uh, what should I say? Uh, let's say you're a pharmaceutical company, and you are making a certain type of drug which is good for elderly population. So then your market segment is elderly people, and that too in hospitals. That type of drugs you are making, let's say diabetes or something like that. So then you need to identify that where your product is highly required. So it will be mostly in cities because
Yes.
people have higher access to the medical facilities in cities. So now you identified your market. Now the second important factor is raw material. So what happens in most of the industries, raw material is associated with the inventory cost. There are certain industries in which you need not maintain higher inventory, but let's say in pharma or power production, in those type of industries, or consumer goods, they need to have a proper inventory because their demand is not that much variable, and you have to have a backup. You cannot have delay in your production line because it's a continuous mass production thing. So then you identify if you want a certain raw material, whether it is available in that area or not, or how long distance wise is the area from your new site. So you'll need to take into account the transportation cost. So transportation is there, but transportation involves both the cost of transporting raw materials to the factory or to the plant, and cost of transporting the finished goods to the desired market outlets or the warehouses. So transportation is also important. Then you need to have utilities. So basically this power, water, etc. So these like water or roads are also utilities that you need to have. So these type of utilities you need to have. uh, I will give you one example. What happened, I was working in an industry at one point of time. So what happened initially, that industry, the number of factories in that area was small. So the municipality there, they developed power grid according to that capacity. But what happened after, let's say, 4 5 years, number of factories increased, and everyone wanted power, but there was not enough power in the grid. So uh, if you face such a situation, Mohammed, what will you do?
Sir,
Yeah, did you understand my question?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah, so tell me, like, you have power for, let's say, 100 factories, and it was enough initially.
Mm.
But after 5 years, what happened? The number of factories in that area became 150, and you have still the same power producing capacity. So now,
Mm.
what will you do to manage? Uh, One option is you have extra power, right? You need to put extra power plant or something like that, but that will take time, right? It is not one day job. So in the
Yes, sir.
meantime, what will you do? What is, like, if you want to find solution in this situation, can you think of something?
Mm, 100, 150, sir. Means I have less power, na?
You have less power, but you need to give that power to whoever you can. It's not like, you need not to do any uh, favoritism. So in that case, uh, do you think of any solution?
Sir, production line,
Yeah,
production may reduce, sir. Only this.
yeah. See, one option could be, you can understand which industries are critical. Uh, for example, if some industry is making life-saving drugs or some critical product, then you will make sure that they get the power supply regularly without disturbance. But
Okay.
uh, I mean, this is I'm telling from my experience. What happens? They will give power to the critical industries without anything. But let's say there are some companies which are not making critical products. Let's say they are making soaps or shampoos or certain that type of things. So what they do, they will ask you or the non-critical manufacturers to not use the power in the peak hours. So basically, what happens during the daytime, everyone uses power, right? Because the power plants are operational daytime. But
Mm.
there are less number of power plants operational in the night. So what they do, in the daytime, they will limit the power to each factory according to their criticality of the operation. Whereas in the night time, they will give power without restriction, because in the night time there are not many factories. So whatever power you can produce, it is sufficient in the night. So
Right.
first of all, they will give you that option. But what happens? No industry would like to do that, right? Because everyone wants to produce their own
There.
product at whatever cost, right? Because they also have targets. So what the government did at that time was they charge, let's say, X rupees per unit for power during daytime, and during night time they charge zero point 0.8, 80% of the normal cost. So basically they made the power at night cheaper. So when some factories which are not doing important production, important goods production, they realized that if they run the power intensive units in the night time, the advantage is they have to pay less light bill or electricity bill. And
Right.
the other advantage, like for the power producing company or the government, that advantage was during daytime the demand reduced. So they had, I mean, this was a very practical thing that I came across. So I thought I'll share here. So basically, utilities. The problem with the utilities are they are limited. You see, you can have raw material as much as you want because you can purchase it. Uh, you can have other things like fuel or some other things like machinery, manpower. If you have money or capital, you can have as much as you want. But utilities are common utilities. They are not your own resources. Let's say if you have your own power plant in your factory, that is a different thing. But not every factory has that much independence.
Mm.
So therefore, utilities are limited resource and everyone needs to use them optimally. Then there is important factor of taxes and this labor laws. I mean, basically finance and this HR thing. So these are also important things. Many a times you might have seen. Have you seen Mohammed? You are in Middle East, right? You are not in India, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So basically, I don't know whether you have noticed or not. Nowadays, Tamil Nadu state is giving tax breaks to different industries. So many factories are coming up with Tamil Nadu. Uh, this thing happened in Goa some years
Middle
back.
East, sir.
I don't know about Middle East. Does this happen there also? Do they give tax breaks or something like that?
Currently, they start sir, around 2 years ago. Saudi Arabia, they start taxes on each product. Means before, sir, whenever we go, don't have to pay.
Yeah, so then you can imagine, right? If you have an factory or something, now you have to pay taxes, right? So you need to revise your product prices accordingly, right? So uh, when you put up a new plant, your production will increase. So you need to decide the selling price also. I mean, we'll talk about it in this break-even analysis later. Let's move forward. Then there is climate. Uh, as I told you, uh, you know, some industries the climate is very important. For example, let's say sugar producing industries. Uh, what happens if you cut the sugar cane in the field and it will start losing its moisture. So
Right.
if the sugar producing factory is too far, what happens? The weight of the sugar cane reduces by almost 50% as well in some cases. So in that case, for if you want to put up a new sugar production plant, you need to put near to the sugar fields. Same goes for I think most of the commodities like cotton or vegetables, etc. So
We
food,
are, sir, we are considering on it the climate condition due to product issues, sir. Like in our company, we are manufacturing syrup, hot sauce,
oh,
ketchup, cakes. But
mhm.
during the particular products, um, production of particular product, we are considering the climate condition also.
Yeah. So see, if this is food industry, then climate is very important because I mean you cannot take lightly because food is very important, right? If you get one bad example, then your whole industry or your whole organization can suffer. So
Yes,
climate is
sir.
important. uh, Again, climate is important from storage point of view also, not only during manufacturing. So if you want to store your raw material, so you need to
We
consider climate
and
also.
temperature. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so then there is fuel cost, which is important if you are running some generation or something like that, or even burning for small reasons as well. Then one more important is waste management. So uh, do you have this waste treatment plant in your factory, Mohammed?
No, sir, we don't have waste treatment plant, but it go directly to third party, sir. They are coming and collecting our waste material.
Okay, okay, yeah, that way, nah, that is also fine. So basically, where I was working some time ago, uh, so the regulation or the local state law was you cannot dispose any water which is bad for environment. They had certain guidelines like ppm level, hardness, etc. So in that area, all factories need to treat that water, whatever water they are producing during their manufacturing. They have to treat
Sir,
the water.
it kind of TPT plant, sir. When I was working in Dubai, each company having this facility.
Yeah, yeah. So in most of the places, generally it is mandatory by the law. Otherwise, there will be a lot of water pollution and
Yes.
environment. You have you did you hear about this Minamata incident? It is quite old, but I think it was in Japan. So this Minamata is lake. So
Sir.
what happened? There was one factory. I think it was 70s, 60s that time. So there was not a proper regulation on waste disposal. So one factory was there. I think it was producing mercury in their disposable in their waste. So, and legally they did not require to treat that waste. So what they used to do, they used to dump that waste in a lake nearby. I think in India this happens in some places today. I mean now also. So especially in these leather textile things in North India.
Mhm.
So they used to dump the mercury water in the lake. Now, after certain time, fishes used to eat that waste. So the mercury got into fishes, and the local people used to eat that fish. So mercury
Yes.
went into the people, and
Mhm.
they had a very serious, serious consequences. The local people. So basically, this waste management is important for everybody, not only for your organization, but the local support as well. So
Yes. Right.
that is there. Uh, I think I have covered most of the factors. We'll take some question based on this. One second.
Yes, sir. We covered the market also. We need to
Hello.
staff also, sir. We consider in our labor laws, climate, fuel, waste management. Complete, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give you one question. Uh, so which industry needs to be closer to raw materials? So first option is uh, cycle making company. Second option is washing machine. Third option is steel producer. Fourth option is lathe machine producer. So, can you answer this question, Mohammed?
Sir, I think all industry required raw materials, sir.
No, this is one option correct type of question. Which one will you choose?
Uh, Yes, washing machine, steel, steel producer, 100%. Sir, steel producer, sir.
Can you give some explanation? Why do you think so?
Because while we are thinking to produce steel, sir, uh, we will have raw material like iron, sir.
Hmm. Yeah,
Means the ingredients to produce the this steel, sir.
correct.
Uh, Same here, sir. Washing machine also, but
Yeah, so the thing is, see, when you, I mean, usually the industries which are commodity based, like in this case, the steel industry requires iron ore primarily and other
yes,
heavy metals like tungsten, nickel, etc. So these iron ore, etc., are quite heavy, right? So if you have a steel producing plant which is very far from the iron ore, the transportation will be very costly because these iron ores have very high densities. So therefore,
right,
usually, if you have noticed, no, most of the steel plants are nearby the, you know, this mineral mines. So, for example, in India, this Bhilai is there, this Jamshedpur. So these plants are nearby that location only. I mean, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, that area is there, na Odisha. So there
yes, sir.
more minerals are found. So most of the mines are there. and it makes sense because otherwise, if you put a steel producing plant somewhere away from the ore, you will have large transportation cost.
Right.
Now you may say the other options also look like it, but if you can notice, other options are basically assembling of the different raw components. Basically,
Uh,
cycle
uh,
manufacturer. Hello.
yes, sir.
Yeah, so basically cycle manufacturer, washing machine manufacturer, even lathe machine, what they will do, they will order all the components that they require from different companies and they will assemble. So
Right.
they need not to be closer to the actual steel uh, or the actual places where the raw materials are there. So therefore, the correct answer is steel. And
Still.
I am giving you a hint in future. So any commodity based business, like as I told you, sugar mills, cotton mills, this steel producer, copper producer, aluminum producer, uh, this other things, other commodities like vegetables, fruits. So whichever commodity business is there, it should be closer to the raw materials producing area. So then only they
Right.
can be beneficial.
Topics.
So that is there. So now we'll go to the next thing where we discuss about there are different methods. Only two methods are discussed in the current uh, week's content. Have you gone through the current week's lectures, Mohammed? Did you had the time?
Uh, I attend, sir, where we discuss about the plant and transportation.
Yeah. So now there are different methods, right? So see, generally how to choose a plant location, but when you actually do it, you cannot just give some arguments based on your instinct, right? You have to have some quantification. So there are different methods which will help you for selection of uh,
Right.
plant site or plant location. You can plant or site location. So we will discuss about three of them today, and remaining we'll discuss later. So one is
Oh,
factor rating method.
factor rate.
Yeah. So in which what you do, uh, you make a table in which uh, you list down, let's say, locations A, B, C, D, and they will be rated between, let's say, 0 to 10. So like you rate movies nowadays, right? That way you can rate these are plant locations. So you have, let's say, four options. You have finalized based on all these parameters that we discussed. You finalize that you have four choices for putting up the plant. But now you are not able to decide which one of them. So now you can use this factor rating method. So as the name suggests, you will give ratings. So now you have four plants. You can give ratings between 0 to 10, and then you will have uh, different factors which are important. So important factors will be here. So that can be transportation,
So
then it can be uh, this thing,
raw material.
raw material. So basically, you will make table like this, and so
Uh,
it will be like this. So and you will rate these factors from 0 to 5. This can be anything. It is not necessary to have 0 to 5. You can have 0 to 10 also, but I mean this is conventional ways we do it. But there is no need to have 0 to 10 or 0 to 5. You can have whatever you want, but keep it constant throughout.
oh,
So now what you do, you study your industry and you realize that transportation is very important for me. So you will give it a rating of 4. And you realize raw material is that not that important, so you will give it rating of 2. So like that you will have different factors, right? So you will give rating to each factor. So then you rate the factors. Now you
Okay.
come to the this thing. You come to the locations A, B, C, D. So now you see, you study the location for different factor. So you realize that you have certain market segment, right? It is located in, let's say, North India, but this location A is in South India. So it is not good, right, from the transportation point of view. So you will rate it as 2. But raw material is easily available there. So you will rate it as 7. So like that, you will rate every, let's say you will rate this as 4, 8, and this will be 1. So can you tell me the meaning of this 2481? What do you understand by this? When I write 2481 here, what do you understand by this, Mohammed?
Two means the area is more far from the requirement, and
Uh,
four means it is near, and same is means easily available. One means same, sir, more easily available.
no. 1 means very bad. So 10 means very
Zero.
good, and 0 means very bad. So basically, this 1 means that this location D will give you very high transportation cost, whereas location C will give you the least cost. So therefore, you are giving higher rating to C. So
Oh,
similarly, you will do this way, and then what you do, you multiply this factor. 1 second. You multiply this factor with this factor, and then for plant location you multiply by this, and you in the end sum it up for this will be the summation or total, you can say. So let's say you get some numbers here: 80, 50, 60, 20. So now this is like you considered all the factors: transportation, raw materials, taxes, climate, etc., etc. And out of the four options, you uh, did the analysis and you got these final numbers: 80, 50, 60, 20. So now, which site will you choose, Mohammed?
sir, 80.
Okay, why?
Because sir, with with 80 sir, some of cost will be reduced, sir, in this factor. Let's say, sir, transportation is too bad, raw material average, sir, moderate, but some of the factor having good rating.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're trying to say. So basically,
Mm,
this 80 number is high as compared to, let's say, 20 number, right? So
right, sir.
what it means is this location D is having bad ratings for different factors, and therefore the total is lower, whereas location A has good ratings in some of the factors, and therefore it is giving you higher summation, right? You're just adding the column, right? So
Yes, sir.
you will finally choose location A for your plant.
Right.
So this is what factor rating method is. Now in second method, which is called as, I think, point 1 second, point rating method. So uh, this is also rating method only, but in this, what you do, uh, you you change you 1 second. I'll make the table again. You will again have four options. Let's say A, B, C, D. These are your locations, and you will have some factors. Let's say transportation. Then you'll have raw material. Then you'll have, let's say, climate. So these are important factors for you. So now here what you do in point rating method, you don't rate in like separately. What you do, you first analyze the factors and you decide the importance of factors. So let's say you, for your industry or your new location, transportation is very important. So what you do, you'll give it a higher number, like let's say 80. We'll talk this way. This number you can put anything. I am giving 80, so that is not a rule. You can have 8 also, but generally, if you have a larger number, you can have more variation. So generally, you can have 80 or like 100, that type of number. And then you realize that this thing, raw material, it is okay, it is required for your industry, but not that much. So you will give it as a 50.
Okay.
And climate is not that important, so you will give it 20. It is somewhat important, but not as important as raw material or transportation. So transportation is very important. So basically, you are a logistic type of company. So now you have four type of locations. So now what you do, you take this 80 as the maximum limit. So no location will get the rating more than 80. So
Okay.
then you rate every, let's say factory A will get 60, B will get 30, it will get 10, this will get 50. Now coming to the raw material. Now raw material maximum limit is 50. So you cannot rate any location more than 50. So you will
Okay.
give this as 20, 10, 40, and let's say 50. 50 is maximum, okay? You cannot go beyond 50. And then climate. Climate you have to go till 20 maximum. So you can give 5, 10, 5, 15. So like that you list down all the features, limits for everything, and you rate your locations accordingly, and finally you do the total. So let's say we are considering only three factors which are listed here. So now if you do the total, so this is 85, this is 50, this is 55, and this is 115. So now which method, which location will you finally choose based on this analysis?
Here we are considering importance of factors, sir.
Yes.
Uh,
So
estimates
which method will you choose? See, you have 185, 50, 55, 115.
importance of RM22. Very important. RM is very important. 115, sir.
Okay, why do you think so? Can you give a reason?
Because session and climate.
Muhammad, your voice was not audible. So I'll explain. So basically,
Yes,
see, transportation is very important for you, right? That's why you gave 80 rating for it. Whereas climate is not
yes,
that important. So what happens when you do this way, you already take the importance of factors while rating this 80, 50, 20, and then you take the importance of locations while rating 60, 30, 10, 50. So basically here we were multiplying, right? We were multiplying 4 with 2, 4 with 4, 4 with 8. So we don't do this way. We just take the maximum value and rate or scale your locations accordingly. So here also
oh,
whichever is the largest total will be your desired location. So you will choose D. So these two methods are similar, factor rating method and point rating method, because they are rating methods. One method uses multiplication of different factors, whereas other method uses scaling of the locations, or the it puts maximum rating for particular factor, and plant ratings are scaled accordingly. So that is the main difference. Now we will cover the last method, which is very important, which is break even analysis. Do you have any idea about this Mohammed, since you are working in your plant, have you heard this word break-even analysis somewhere?
Sir, during study I heard it. Break-even analysis means we are what we are doing. We make the job in partition, sir.
Okay. I think you are confusing with the other type. So this break-even analysis, it is see, we are talking about uh, location of the plant, right? The whole discussion is about which plant location you want to choose, right? So
Right.
in that context, can you guess what will be the break-even analysis? Okay, I think I'll just explain briefly. So what happens? Let's say you have did your basic study and you have these three locations for putting up a new plant: A, B, C. Okay. Now, what you do in this break-even analysis, you will see, you will calculate break. I'm using short form BE for break-even. Okay. We are calculating break-even quantity for all these three locations. So, what is break-even quantity? So, basically, what you do, let's say you put up a plant at location A. So, you know that putting up a plant involves some expenditure, right? You need some money for it. So, as a business owner, you go to the bank or investor for the money, and you get the money. Then you put up a plant. You construct the basically building. Now you need to buy machine, and you need to buy other fixed assets. So so there will be a fixed cost. So this is cost. One second. Uh, yeah, the y-axis is cost and x-axis is number of units
Units.
produced. So see, uh, irrespective of how many units you produce in your plant, the initial cost of the establishing the plant will be same, right? So this is fixed cost FC. Now you you make a building. Okay, you establish the building, you got all the machinery you required, and now you started producing. But uh, initially you were producing less number of units, so you needed less manpower, less raw material. But as your factory came online to its full capacity, you needed more manpower, more raw material, more other things. So this comes under variable cost. So I will use this type of arrow. So basically, when you start production, uh, or you increase number of units produced, let's say n, then your variable cost will go up, right? Because it is function of how many number of units you produce. So when you add these two, you'll get the total cost. So it will be like this. Total cost will be variable cost plus fixed cost. So this is what your cost of production is. However, when you are producing something, you are selling it also, right? So when you produce zero number of units, you cannot sell anything. But as when you produce something, you will sell it at certain cost. So that will be like this, and this is your revenue.
Revenue cost. Yes.
Revenue will be number of units into selling price, right? So uh, this point where your revenue and total cost intersect each other, that is called as break even quantity, BEQ. So At BEQ, your revenue, which is NBEQ into selling price per unit of the component, will be equal to fixed cost plus variable cost, which is total cost, right? So now fixed cost is fixed, it is not changing, but you will, the variable cost is function of number of units produced, right? So it will be again number of products produced at this point where they are intersecting into some uh, variable cost, or we have used VC here. Uh, I'll use some CP, which is variable cost,
Okay.
or I'll use CV because VC we use. So anyway, so if you solve this equation uh, and you solve it for the minimum quantity that you need to produce to become profitable in your business, then it will come out to be SP minus CV. So basically, this derivation is not that difficult, but you need to understand some things out of it. First, if your fixed cost is very high, first case, if fixed cost is very high, the up arrow represents very high, then your minimum quantity that you need to produce to become profitable is also high. So
Yes, sir.
that is not good thing, right? See, you want to become profitable as early as possible in any business. That is the objective. But
Yes, sir.
when your fixed cost is high, you will not be able to do it quickly. That is one observation. When your selling price per unit is very high, then your break-even quantity is very less. You can see from this derivation, right? If I increase this SP, the denominator increases and the whole ratio will decrease. So number of units for break-even will decrease. So this is good. So if you can sell your product at higher price, you can achieve the
And
break-even quickly and you can become profitable. And that makes sense also, right? If you can sell one
right.
thing at 10 rupees and if you can sell same thing at 20 rupees, you will be profitable, right? In shorter time. So this is there. And third is, if your variable cost is very high, then again it is not good because you'll need a large number of units to be produced to become profitable. And you can
Right.
do that, yeah, do that inference from this formula. So ये तो हो गया. This is maths. But coming back to our main question, that you have these three options A, B, C, and you have to select one best option out of three, right? That is our main objective. So what
Oh,
you do this calculation for these three location. One second. So you have A, B, C, and then you calculate the minimum number of product, this thing required for all three. Let's say this comes as 100, this comes at maybe 150, and this is at 50. So now uh, tell me one thing. Now based on this analysis, which site will you choose?
here. Oh, B,
Okay, please explain.
because sir, in the B, sir, our price was high and number of unit was less.
No, B has maximum unit, right? See, ABC, B has
So
150 units.
uh,
So you are thinking the opposite way.
B,
See, in case if you put the plant at location B, you'll need to at least produce 150 units and sell them to become just profitable. But in case of plant C, you'll only need to produce 50 products and sell them, and then you'll become profitable. So you can understand this other way. Let's say you produce total 150 units in all the plants, in all 3 plants. So let's say I produce 150 units here, 150 here, and 150 here. So can you tell me where my profits will be more? In which plant I'll be in profit? See, in plant A, you produced 150 units, but your break-even quantity was 100. So your profit will come from 50 units, which you produce more. In case of plant B, you required to produce 150 units to become profitable, and you produce that much. So you produce 150 and you sold 150, but there is no profit, right? You just cut to cut ho gaya. So here your profit is 0. But in case of plant C, you only needed to produce 50 number, but you produced 150. So the additional 100 that you produce, that is your profit, right? So therefore, whichever plant will give you lower break-even quantity, that you will select. So here you will select plant number C. Understood?
Yes, sir. Understood. Perfect.
Okay. So now we'll just take one question and we'll close today because it is already 8:30. So basically, this type of question comes in the competitive exams like GATE or something. So they will give you some numbers and you'll need to calculate break even. So let's say I have one factory. I mean, I need to put one factory, and to put up that factory, I need 50,000 rupees. Okay, and I did the market survey, and I came to know that the the variable cost to produce one number of unit in that new location is around 20 rupees per unit. Whereas I can sell it, the selling price, I can keep it as 30 rupees because other competitors are also selling it at 30 rupees. So I can sell it cheaper so that people will buy my product, right? So now, if you want to put up this plant, the question is, what is the break-even quantity that you need to produce? So this type of question is very frequently asked in GATE or something, some competitive exams. So you can just use the formula, which is fixed cost divided by selling price minus variable cost. So this is 50,000. Selling price is 30 and the variable cost is 20. So this is 50,000 by 10. Therefore, you need to produce minimum 5,000 units, right? You need to produce and sell it also. You should not only produce, but you need to sell. So, yeah, so let's say if you produce only 4,000 units, so in that case, your business will not be in profit. You will be in some loss. But if you let's say you produce 10,000 units and sold them, then you will be very profitable.
Yes, sir. 5,000 will be in profits.
So this is how we use this break-even analysis to decide on the location of plant, or not only location of plant. You can use this analysis. Let's say you have already one existent plant and you already have a plant and you don't know that when will you become profitable. So in that case also you can use this analysis to just get the idea that you need to produce and sell, let's say, this much minimum quantity so that I'll be profitable. So this is
Right.
how you use it. Okay. So see, this 5,000 is total. Okay. So what will happen? You may not able to sell them in one day. So you will, when you start selling, you will realize that, oh, I am only selling, let's say, 200 units in 1 month. So if you are selling 200 units per month, then you will need 5,000 divided by 200. That is 25 months to become profitable. Correct?
Correct, sir.
Yeah. So this way you can have, if you have some business, you do break-even analysis, you get the break-even quantity, and then you look at your numbers, sales figure, and then you realize, oh, okay, I need to sell this much, but I'm selling only this much in 1 month. So you can either increase this by doing some advertising or some, that type of thing, or you can, what you can do, you can increase your selling price and see if the people are still buying your product. If they are, then good.
Or
If they're not, then you can reduce the selling price to the original level, or you can cut down on your production cost. So how
yes,
will you do that? You will, you will optimize your manpower, you will optimize your machine, your electricity bill, and all the variable costs that are associated with the production line. Correct?
correct.
Yeah. So this is how this is done, and I think we have covered almost all the topics that are supposed to be covered. So do you have any question for me, Mohammed?
No, sir. All I got, sir.
Okay, but
Especially,
I
I
have
was
one.
confused. Break-even analysis. What I understood, sir, today.
Yeah, that is good. But since you don't ask question, I will ask you one question. Okay, this I forgot when I was talking about this factor rating method and point rating method. So
Okay,
see,
sir.
here we were able to decide out of the four options because all four options were different, right? So here
Right.
it was 80, 80, 50, 60, 20, right? So you can take, you were able to make a decision because 80 is the largest of all.
All, sir.
Uh, but there can come a situation where if you do the multiplication and you when you do the summation total, you may get 80, 80, 60, 30. So if you get this type of summation, what will you do?
Sir, same, sir. Break-even analysis. I will
No, 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 no.
check, sir.
No, 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 no. Mohammed, break-even analysis is done. This is actually the previous topic.
Uh,
This earlier we discussed na कि we will give rating for every factor. We will give rating
mm-hmm.
for every location. So now,
Sir, this is a sir.
pardon, can you repeat?
It become another topic, sir. Based on the factor rating method, sir. Here we will consider the importance of our factor.
Yeah, that is correct answer. So see here there is a tie between location A and location B, right? So what will you do? You will go back to your most important factor, which is
Right.
transportation, right? And then you
Right,
will
sir.
see that for transportation, plant B is giving you a good
Good.
rating. Huh.
Yes, sir.
So you will choose plant B. So
Plant B.
this is one thing that I forgot to mention when I was talking about this. So anyway, I think this is all from my side as well. So if there is no any question, shall we stop?
Yes, sir. Please. Uh,
Okay. Okay. Then we'll stop, moment. So I think there is already. What is the time there now? I think it will be around
6:05, sir.
oh 6
PM.
oh 6 p.m. Okay. So here it is 8:30. So I'll have to go to dinner also. So we will stop now and we will meet next Tuesday. If you're free, please join. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for coming and listening to me for so long. And okay. We'll stop now.
Uh,
Okay. Bye. Bye, Mohammed. Bye.